welcome back to Concert Critiques in Cars with Emily. So this show was at Baltimore Soundstage, and the headliner was Lovelytheband with Flora as an opener, as well as Jagwar Twin as another opener. So getting there was actually surprisingly easy. There was not a lot of traffic, which was nice, and it was also a baseball game going on, so that was really nice that even when I got into the city there was not a lot of traffic, so that was definitely an unexpected bonus. The one thing I will say is that on the website it said the show started at 8, but because there were 3 bands, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll call and find out what the set times were, and they said that the first band was going on at 7:40. So I personally would have been really upset if I had been like, oh, it's going to start at 8 based on the website, and then it wasn't. So I feel like they should have changed it on their website, but anyway, let's get into the show. So, Jagwar Twin was a really strong opener, definitely had a unique look. The first song was really good, I really liked it, it was super catchy. The second song, not as catchy, but still good. I really liked the bridge to the second song, as well as the instrumental ending. It was just really a great second song follow-up to the first one, especially after being so catchy. The rest of their set was pretty good. They played some songs I really liked. At one point they played a slower song, and they asked the crowd to put up their cell phones, and I really liked the first line of the chorus. That was a really cool line, so I really did like that song as well, even though it was slower. Also at one point they got the crowd involved with oohs and ahs and stuff in the fourth song, and then they kind of never came back to it, and they just sang the fourth song without having the crowd then come back in, so that was a little bit strange. But yeah, overall they ended their set with their most popular song. At least that was a song that I heard on YouTube, and it was a really good opener for sure. Again, the band was pretty good. I mean, I can't really complain. There was definitely a lull. I did not love the third song, I think was not my favorite. But yeah, overall it was pretty good. Nothing super grabbing, so nothing that really made me oh my gosh, wow, but definitely a strong opener, especially for Lovelytheband. They definitely matched styles and sounds, so that was really good. Then Flora. I had seen Flora before and totally fell in love with somebody else, so I was super pumped to see them again, especially this time because the last time I saw them, the female lead vocalist was behind the keyboard, so she was quiet and kind of awkward, and this time she was much more confident and she wasn't behind the keyboard. They clearly hired a keyboardist to play that part of the show. So I really liked that. I thought she was much more outspoken and able to kind of be herself, so that was really cool. They started the set with a slower song with just the female vocals, and then the male vocalist finally came in. So again, that was a slower song. Their whole set was slower than the opener, but obviously they just had a little bit of a different sound. So then they played, it was kind of a bit of a roller coaster. I liked every song they played, but some songs I really liked a lot, and other songs were just kind of okay. In particular, I really loved the fourth song. It was a lot of faster vocals, and I thought that was really good. The lyrics were just sung in a faster way, so that was really cool. I really liked that. That fourth song was excellent. I really also liked a lot of the choruses and bridges of a lot of the songs. Sometimes they were a little bit hard to hear. The keyboard was very loud at points, and then there was a lot of bass in some of the songs, which made it sometimes really hard to hear the lyrics, but overall they had a really nice set. And so the last 2 songs they played, they talked about the meaning of that song, which I had heard before. I listened to it on YouTube a couple times. Just about you think that just by being able to pay bills that you're a functional person, but sometimes that's not enough, and people discourage you from following your dreams. And so they played that song, and it was cool to hear live. I really liked hearing that song, and so that was pretty neat. And then the last song they played was Somebody Else, which is my favorite song of theirs, and they talked about how they wrote it and they were in a dark place, and how really the interesting thing is not only that this song made them blow up, but that the reaction of other people and how they interpret the song is so different from sometimes so different from what it actually was written for, but the fact that they can use it in this different way and to mean these different things. And so I thought that was kind of cool that like he kind of touched on the fact that they have watched videos of people explaining why it's important to them and stuff like that. So I actually really liked that explanation of it. And then when they played the song, they didn't really change a lot, so that was fine. But then, of course, during the bridge, which I actually really like the bridge. I know it's just like mashup of sounds, but I really do enjoy the bridge. It's one of my favorite parts of the song. So they kind of had it like lowered, and then he was just kind of thinking, he was like, all right, Baltimore, like, thank you so much. And so it was actually a little bit of a disappointment. But then when they came back and sang the chorus right after the bridge, he totally like changed the way he sang it. So I really, really did appreciate that. So I really liked that. So it was definitely a bonus. But yeah, overall their set was pretty good. So then Lovelytheband came out and they played, so let me just preface this with I really love the album as a whole. So none of the songs except for Emotion were songs that I like was not wanting to hear. So for the first like 6 or 7 songs, they played pretty much the order that I would have picked, with the exception of Emotion. So they came out with Make You Feel Pretty. That was a good start. It's a catchier song, a beat, so I really did like that they opened with that. And again, it wasn't necessarily a song I was like dying to hear, so I was glad that they kind of got that done and over with in the beginning. And then Emotion came right after that, so I was really glad they got that out of the way, because I knew they were going to play it and I don't really care for that song, so I was glad they did it, got it out of the way. It was fine to hear live. And then pretty much the third and fourth song were like songs that I knew a little bit better, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm like glad they played that song. And then they played another song that I also really liked. Then they played Coachella, which is another song I like knew more and liked. So again, they had like really good choices for me personally. It was like songs I don't really care about, songs I care a little bit more about, and then songs I really care about. So they played, I forget the titles. But yeah, so they did a really nice job. All those songs were really good. Some of them were more upbeat than others, but I really liked that. So after they played Coachella, they played, it must have been a newer song. Not a lot of people recognized it, and you could definitely like feel the mood drop in the crowd. But that's what happens with new songs, which is so funny because I liked the new song, don't get me wrong, but again, it didn't really grab me necessarily. So I thought that was interesting, especially compared to my previous video from last night. So definitely just like always makes me think about kind of like, how do you present new music in a way that captures the crowd, especially, you know, when you're here presenting this album pretty much from start to finish. I mean, they pretty much almost played every song except for maybe 1 or 2, but yeah, so it's hard, and it definitely was in the middle of the set purposely. And then right after that, they followed up with, what do you know, a Mr. Brightside cover. I was like, seriously, what are the odds? Like, so crazy. But this cover was just like straight up like rock cover. So it definitely was not as impressive as the one from yesterday, which was definitely a little disappointing. And this is just a good reason why I don't necessarily love covers at a show. They didn't really change anything. It was basically just like, let's rock out to Mr. Brightside. And of course the crowd loved it, which was great, and it was fun to, you know, rock out to that song, but it just really wasn't a cover that I necessarily enjoyed seeing because there was nothing different about it. Whereas in the previous video that I made, the band like slowed it down and really made it something that kind of grabbed my attention, and also like just had such an impact on my feeling overall about the song. Whereas this one did not do that. So after they played the cover, they played Pity Party, they played a bunch of stuff off of their album. Some of those songs were, again, it was like a little slower and then back to being like more of an upbeat song. So then they kind of addressed the whole, so they started talking and the lead singer was like, is everyone staying hydrated? And so he passed out waters like randomly to people, and he's like, okay, like share. And then they saw someone with a cowboy hat, so they took the cowboy hat so he traded the girl a set list for the cowboy hat. And so he wore it, and then the guitarist wore it, and then the drummer wore it during a song, and then they gave it back to her after the song. So that was pretty cool. The part that was not cool with the whole cowboy hat thing was they were like, oh, just so you know, like, Lovely the Band loves country music, and someone shouted out a song title, and they all started singing it, and it was just terrible. Fortunately, only the drummer was like playing music, so the crowd was singing it, the lead singer was singing it, and then just the drummer was playing. There was no guitar. I think if there was guitar, I would have just had blood dripping out of my ears. No, I just really don't like country music, so the fact that they like were super excited about it and started singing randomly, if only it was like a different alternative rock song, that was something that I was like, oh my god, I know this song. But no, so that was not exciting for me. I'm sure everyone in the crowd loved it, but not really for me. So yeah, so then after that, they kind of addressed the whole encore thing. So they played, this was like my time in the show. This was when I was really like, oh, hey, they're playing every song that I basically came here to see. So they played I'm Afraid, which was really good. I really liked hearing that song live. And then they started talking about Broken and how like they were so like thankful for everything that we've done. And so actually before they played I'm Afraid, they had this long talking thing about their LGBTQ organization, which was pretty cool. They made a special shirt for it, which was awesome. Then they played I'm Afraid, which totally like matched what he was talking about, so I really liked that. Then after that, he started like thanking the fans for getting them as far as they have been, and it was great and nice, but it was like, okay, bro, come on, you have like 3 more songs left, and you're gonna play Broken, so just play it. I'm tired. It's almost 11 o'clock. Like, I want to leave. They played Broken. It was awesome. It was super fun to rock out to. They didn't really change it a lot, so again, it was like no change, which I love when you see it live and there's a change. But it definitely was heavier and really fun to just dance to, seeing it live and hearing it live with like that full sound behind it. So that was pretty cool. And again, that was one of the songs I came for, and it was played after another song that I came for, so really couldn't complain too much about that. So yeah, so then after that, they went off for their encore, and then they played a slower song, which I'm assuming is off of their album. I didn't really recognize it though, but it was really good, and like at the end, they kind of just like rocked out hard. I actually thought it was a different song, and then I realized I was like, oh my gosh, no, they're just ending the song, which was pretty great. So I really did like that song, even though I didn't know it that well. Again, I'm also super glad that they came out with that one from the encore and didn't come out with the song I really wanted to see, which These Are My Friends, which I knew was coming at the end. So I was glad that they started playing that slower song, so I was like, oh man, if they like don't save These Are My Friends for the end, it's just, that is like the reason I came, and I wanted to be that song to be the last song. Or Broken would have been a fine last song, but so I was glad when they played Broken, because I was like, all right, These Are My Friends is definitely gonna be the last song. Well, of course, I was right. That was the last song. These Are My Friends was the last song, so I was pretty good. I was glad that I could predict that. But right before they started playing, he just like started talking about random things. He was like, so my feet don't hurt, but my shins hurt, which is fine. And like, again, that stuff is fun to learn about like singers, and you know, you're like, these are people, and this is the things that they think about when they're on stage. So I appreciated it, but I was like, bro, if you don't start playing this song soon, like, I'm going to walk out. I'm so tired. I have to drive home 45 minutes. Like, please just to hurry up. Like, just such random banter. And again, I appreciate it, and I love learning random things about bands. But it was time. It was really just time. I was ready. But then, of course, they started playing the song, and I was super into it. It was so fun. The lead singer came out and like walked around the crowd and into the crowd, and then walked back around. So it was really an awesome way to end the show. Really great. Really glad that I stayed for it, even though I was exhausted. But yeah, so it was definitely a fun set, and it's a really fun band to see. All right, scores. Oh boy. Okay. So the opener was good, but nothing super grabbed me other than that one line in the chorus to that song. Flora Cash was great. They were a little bit hard to hear at times, and again, they kind of have that slower pace, but that's just like their style, so can't really take points off for them playing their own music. Didn't really change somebody else a lot, but I did really like how they explained the song, so that was kind of cool. Lovelytheband pretty much like let me pick the order of their songs that I would have played if I had to listen to the whole album, and like least favorite to favorite for the most part. I mean, there were definitely some differences in there. Wasn't a huge fan of the Mr. Brightside cover, and there were a couple songs in between, like I didn't really want to hear Emotion, and some of the other songs were just like, okay. And then again, they just, at the end, it was just so much talking, and it was such a late show. I think I'm gonna have to give this one an 8.0. Yeah, again, like, other than like the few moments, nothing was super grabbing, but overall it was a really great show. They had a lot of interesting fun songs, and yeah, so 8.0, I think that's what I'm sticking with. Let me know what you think, comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, thanks.